Hello, Daily Dose of Danny followers. I'm so sorry I haven't seen you guys in a few days. I know I said that maybe I would post on Saturday. I couldn't post on Friday because I was a hot mess. But anyways, I'm back. It's Monday. It's Monday afternoon. I have a doctor's appointment at 2:45, so I got to bust this out. So let's talk about what went down in our worlds. Well, Saturday was high school graduation for many of us. Many of our kids. This is my girl right here, Cardinal Newman High School, Leah Jane Stockham. It's just a diploma cover, but we turned on the live stream at home because she didn't graduate till 6, and it started at 2. So we watched the live stream and cheered for some of her friends that I caught. I caught Paige and I caught Claire. I saw her friend Andrew Lombardi graduate. I saw a bunch of kids. I don't want to name them all because I'll look like an idiot, but Elijah. Anyways, I missed Cara Lepe and I missed Cassie O'Connor, but I saw those girls later when they took pictures together. All the kids got together to take pictures. I watched all the things on Facebook that the parents posted of what they did along the parade route, and I'm just so mad I didn't think of all the great things to do, like stopping at Leah's senior portrait. All the senior portraits were on display. Stopping at Leah's poster that she made, all the posters were on display. She could have jumped out and we could have photographed all that, but I didn't think of it, and other people did, and it makes me just, I'm so mad I didn't think of it. So we had the parade and, decorated Boyd's truck and drove through, and I videotaped her walking the red carpet to get her diploma, and we were very loud, lots of honking and screaming, celebrating my girl. Apparently they weren't very strict on alphabetical order because people were way out of order. For example, Leah Stockham was followed by Bennett Stafford. I don't know a lot, but I do know that that's out of order. Interesting side note, Bennett Stafford's father was my doctor when I had the stroke and was in the ICU. He was the first doctor that I saw. So that's kind of cool. So he was behind me and he's like, "Hey, how's it going? Blah, blah, blah. You look good. Thanks." Then we had like a small gathering at my house with family afterwards to celebrate Leah. It turned out to be too many people just for social distancing practices. But half of the people had developed what we like to call herd immunity because they work together. So they're around each other every day, and then they were at my house, and I was okay with it. We had a few wild cards, people I hadn't seen, but no hugging. I mean, I hugged my sister, and I don't care what anyone thinks about that. I hugged my sister and my nephew, and I'm okay with it. So not sure how they feel about it, but I did it. But Leah was so happy. The day started out horrible, and she made me cry, then she made Grace cry. There was a lot of ill will in the morning. And Boyd was just like, "Fucking count me out," kind of thing. He just stayed clear of all of us. But she was very happy at the party. The happiest I've seen her in a long time. I was so proud of her. So yeah, the kids are graduates. And now we're facing a summer with not really a lot of options as far as what to do. I mean, it's not even like, go get a job, where are you going to work? Do you know what I mean? Or, let's go on vacation. Can't. Where can we vacation? So that's kind of a bummer. And, I think the kids are frustrated. They want to be together. And I met up with some of Leah's friends right after the graduation, before we came home for the party. And, there was a group of about 14 girls that got together to take pictures. They were in a wide open space to take pictures, but there were some pictures they were close together. They didn't have a worry in the world. I mean, I stayed away from the group. I didn't get close, but I don't know. It's really, there's a lot of conflicting ideas. Like, do we dip our toes in, and how deep of the water do we stand in? And who's maybe a silent carrier, and how will we know, and all that stuff. But I mean, at some point, you have to leave the house. But there's also other things going on, bigger things, worldwide issues. We talked about George Floyd last week, I think on Thursday, about the brutal murder that he suffered at the hands of those white police officers in Minneapolis, Minnesota. The actual officer that had his knee on his neck has been charged with murder. The other three, are just fired. They just lost their job. They're not being charged with anything. But they were silent, so they're complicit as far as I'm concerned. And their complicity is what has sparked the outrage in the African American community, in the white community, in the human race community. I think, personally, for me, all the protests are so understandable and on such a gut level. I get it. I understand it. I mean, I've been a party to the silent protests for a long time. I have, a mixed race family. I've spoken about that many times. And this affects everyone. This affects all of us. And so I'm 100% behind the protests. Like one thing that I saw on Twitter, it says, this is a rebellion. And there's a lot to rebel against. Now, I know that a lot of the protests went from being peaceful to being destructive and then looting and all of that. And I know that a lot has been said about this. There's many opinions. That's okay. This is my opinion. When you take something that's peaceful and powerful and turn it into something that's unlawful and destructive, and you're destroying livelihoods of other people by looting stores and destroying groceries and things that support communities, you're ruining it. That doesn't help your cause. That hurts your cause. The cause is to protest peacefully, even loudly, even where you block off roads or whatever. But when you start looting, it's just not good. I don't think there's anything good about that. I don't care what other people's opinions are. I've heard them all. I've read them all. I get it. You're all entitled to your own opinion. That's my opinion. And right now in downtown Santa Rosa, there's a protest going on. They're kneeling for 9 minutes, for the 9 minutes that it took for George Floyd to die under the knee of that racist cop. And trust me, if I could kneel, I'd be fucking down there kneeling. But I know some kids that are down there, some teenagers, Lauren Weiss, Brandon Boteri, Elijah Hunter, and I support you 100%. I think what you're doing is amazing. I want you to stay safe. I want you to take care of yourselves, but I want you to protest. Let your voices be heard. Let your actions speak louder than words. This is despicable. And without the bravery and the determination of this generation, we're going to stay stuck in this cycle of systemic racism, overt oppression that happens to the African American community at the hands of racist leaders. Now, I read Barack Obama's long statement on this, and one of the things that stuck out to me that I think is why I'm so proud of these kids right now is that when something like this happens, you always want to look to the federal government. You want to look to the White House and to Congress and what can they do. But these kind of things, they happen on a local level. This is local justice. This is state justice. It's not just about the White House. So when you protest in your communities, the change comes there. It's grassroots change. And I wrote something on my Facebook page that I really do believe that my children's generation are going to be the ones that are going to make the change finally, the change we've long waited for. They're going to be the ones that are going to really move the dial away from this type of oppression and racism that is in every aspect of the lives of Black Americans. And I support that 100%, like I said. I mean, I also said I'm not going to entertain any conversations where someone equalizes any other suffering. They equalize it with the suffering of African Americans. There is no equal. There's no equal. And I don't want to discuss anything that tries to equalize that. The suffering that they have suffered is long-standing and continuous. And then I wanted to speak just a little bit more about that and saying that what you don't understand or what you can't relate to doesn't give you the license to ignore it. It actually makes it more imperative that you try to understand what's going on, that you read about it, that you do research, that you try to stand in their shoes for 1 minute, or imagine it's your child, or imagine it's your brother, or your sister, or your best friend. And then I've heard that, people in law enforcement, they get like fatigued over the gangs and the violence that they see on a daily basis in some of these bigger cities. And that fatigue builds up, and then it's the next guy that they arrest that maybe pays the price for that. This is what I have to say. How'd you pass your psychological exam, A? And B, if you're fatigued, you need to resign. You don't belong in law enforcement, period. That's a privilege you don't have. You don't get to be fatigued. You don't get to let all this build up, and you don't get to take it out on the next person. If you can't handle the job you're doing, resign and get another job. And like Will Smith said, this is not news. This has been going on forever. Right now, in this day and age, we just have a camera turned to it. So I hear people say, what is this world coming to? Oh my gosh, it's never been like this. No, it's always been like this. There just was never a camera or a cell phone to capture it. Now we're just seeing it. We think it's new, but it's not new. It's been ongoing. And, the civil rights movements of the 60s and all of the marching and all the protesting, what came out of that was legislation, changes to our Constitution, new laws, new protections. And that could come out of this too. This could be protesting for peace and protesting for change. And I think it's so important that this happens. The clock's moving. I hate to rush. I hate rushing, but it's 20 after my appointment's at 2:45 and I have to drive there. I just want to show you, I wore this bracelet to Leah's graduation. It was like a big metal cuff bracelet that went right along here. Look what it's done to my arm. To my arm. All the bruising. It's horrible, isn't it? But that's the life of a girl on a blood thinner. I'm going to see my rheumatologist anyways. That's the doctor's appointment. Waiting to get my orders to get my CT in my chest. And yeah, my kid's a graduate. Both girls are graduated. They're both going to go off to college. Boy and I are going to be empty nesters. It's going to be so weird, but cool. I'm excited for all aspects of that. So anyways, try to have a little patience. Try to leave a little early for your destinations because there are protests going on. They are blocking the streets. It is peaceful. It's gotten violent when the sun goes down, at night. And, if you're a protester and you're out there and you're doing your part, try not to participate in that. That part's not okay. It's just not okay with me. Not that I'm anybody, but I think that's what gets people to jump to the other side because they think, you're just destroying your own shit to protest something that is about violence. Violence begets violence. So I'm happy to hear feedback and opinions on that. I know that everyone just needs a big hug and to know that they're understood and heard and that we empathize. But, as white people, we just, we're at a disadvantage. This is not something that we can relate to. We can't relate to being pulled over by the cops and automatically putting our hands on the dash. We would never do that because we haven't grown up with the fear that you getting pulled over for a traffic stop could end up with your death. Whether you're the driver, the passenger, or in the back seat, if you're black, you know exactly what to do. Show your hands at all times. Because anything in this world we live in, this racist world we live in, could result in your death. And then it's your mom and your dad and your brother and your sister who are crying for the loss of your life. We can't relate to that. But we need to shine a bright fucking light on the racism that has caused the death of this young man who is not resisting. And I don't care what his crime, I really don't care what his crime was. I know damn well it wasn't murder. It was like, I think it was like a counterfeit $20 bill or something is what I heard. I've heard a million things. I think that's it. But he was not resisting, and there was absolutely no need for that. And those cops that helped hold him down while the other one choked him out, and the cop that stood there and watched, you could have put an end to it. All you had to do was say something. You did nothing. You stood by and watched one of your own fellow officers kill a man, murder him. And I don't know how you sleep at night, but you should be behind bars as well. Maybe first. You should be behind bars first. So I think that's it for my daily dose. I also just joined 30 minutes for 30 days exercise little group. I did 15 days in a row of exercising, but I'm going to join this 30 days, 30 minutes a day. Grace is going to do it with me. So that starts today, but we're going to exercise later today because I have this doctor's appointment and, the day's getting away from us. My friend turned 50 yesterday. We had a nice dinner party for her. I love her. I love you, Pam. You're one of the most altruistically kind people I've ever met in my entire life. A heart for humanity. And I love you. I was so happy I got to celebrate with you. I think that's it for now. Take care of each other. Let's be patient with each other. And peacefully protest. All right, I love you. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.